In this video, we are going to talk about that clauses, which are also called noun clauses with the word that. This is Unit 15 in our Grad Grammar Level 3 supplement, which is taken from the Grammar and Beyond Level 3 book. We are looking at page 14 in the book. That's the beginning of the Unit 15. And the topic is cultural values. If we turn the page to look at the grammar presentation, we will see that noun clauses function like nouns in sentences. They often begin with the word that. Let's take a look at the example. Many people believe that they must work hard in order to be happy. We can see many people believe something. There is something that many people believe. What do many people believe? They believe that they must work hard in order to be happy. To make a that clause, to form a that clause, the that clause must have its own subject and verb. We already know this because we know that all clauses, main clauses, dependent clauses, independent clauses, subordinated clauses, all of those things, adjective clauses, any clause means subject and verb. If we look at our example here, many Americans think that anyone can succeed. We have our main clause, many Americans think. That's the beginning of our sentence. What do they think? Working like a noun in the sentence. It's taking the place of the word something. And this is a noun clause because we have our keyword, our introducing word, that. Then we've got a subject, anyone, and we've got our verb, can succeed. In conversation and in informal writing, the word that is often omitted. Omitted means erased. If you don't know that omitted means erased or deleted or skipped, you should make a note in your grammar book now. You should cross out this word and put a word that you understand, or put a note to the side that the word omitted means something like skip or delete or remove. However, in academic writing, the word that is usually not omitted. That means that we usually include this word in our academic writing because it helps our reader understand the noun clause. Let's take a look. If we look at our informal example, most people recognize cooperation is important. Informal. We often use this in our speaking. We removed the word that. It's there, but frequently in our speaking, most of the time we know that speaking is a little bit more lazy. The grammar rules are a little bit more relaxed. Many people recognize cooperation is important. But you will hear that we've got a little bit of a higher sound, higher tone for the main clause, and it gets a little bit lower for the that clause. Most people recognize cooperation is important. That sound change helps your listener understand that this is not a new sentence, but is part of the previous sentence. Imagine you are reading this. Most people recognize cooperation is important. It's sometimes, in this example, it's pretty simple. It's pretty obvious, especially because we have our dark, our bold letters here. But sometimes it becomes confusing. Many people recognize cooperation is, and so it becomes a little bit confusing. Your reader might say, wait, why do I have a new sentence here? That is why in our academic, our formal writing, we almost always include the word that. It helps your reader understand this is a noun clause that is working as the object of this verb recognize. Most people recognize that cooperation is important. So in your academic writing, it is a good idea to include the word that, especially in your essays, theses, and other formal assignments. To use a that clause, excuse me, a little bit too close. Use that clauses after the following verbs that express mental activity. Verbs like assume, believe, decide, discover, expect, feel, find, or find out. Guess, hear, hope, imagine, know, learn, notice, read, realize, recognize, say, see, show, suppose, think, and understand. If you do not recognize a word here in this list, it is a good idea for you to look that word up and study it on your own. These are all academic reporting verbs. These are all verbs that introduce noun clauses. These are not the only verbs, but this is a pretty good example of verbs that could introduce a noun clause. Let's take a look at the examples. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 examples here. Example number 1. Can we assume that the core values have remained basically the same? In this case, we have a question, so we've got our main clause. Can assume is our verb, and then we've got our subject after our modal verb. We can assume something. So again, we've got this something, and what is that thing? Well, if it's not just a thing, we can assume the best, we can assume the worst, or maybe we can assume about a situation. And in that case, we've got the word that, and then we've got our subject, core values, have remained is our verb. So we've got our that clause with the word that, our subject, core values, and have remained is our verb. And it is functioning, the whole thing, from that all the way to the end, is functioning as the object of this verb in our main clause, assume. Some people believe that hard work brings happiness. Again, we've got our that, we have hard work as our subject, we've got brings as our verb, and this whole thing from that until the end is functioning as the object of belief. What do they believe? That hard work brings happiness. I've discovered something. What have I discovered? That some cultures don't have a positive view of the future. We've got our that, we have some cultures is our subject, and don't have is our verb. I read something. What did you read? I read that American values developed during the colonial period. Here we have our that. We've got American values as our subject, and developed is our verb. All of this from that until the end is functioning or working as the object of read. On the next page, page 17, in your supplement, we've got exercise 2.1, forming that clauses. Combine the sentences about employees in the United States. Use that clauses. So here we have the example, many Americans notice something. This is a noun. What do they notice? They are working harder but have less money. So we are going to take out this general noun, something. It's not necessary. And we are going to use our noun clause grammar with that to replace this noun. It works like a noun. It functions like a noun, so we're replacing this noun. Many Americans notice that they are working harder but have less money. So we're using the second sentence and we're replacing the word something by using a that clause to make a noun clause.